This is Past the Rock.
What's up, y'all? I've just finished taking hours of notes on how to make cocaine from the clips today.
Beautiful.
Whip it in the glass, naysayer. So we're gonna start this week with a little pop culture talk, I guess. We did get the highly anticipated, long-awaited new album from Pusha T and No Malice.
That actually was a question. Is he back to Malice for just the album? I don't know when the last No Malice.
All the Genius annotations say Malice, and he's been in there touching that up. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, he's definitely dropped the No. And
so I think it's just when he's by himself. Because was he No Malice on the Kanye album?
No, he was. I think so. But like
the song he did on the Jesus is King album.
I think he dropped Being a Pastor too. That's why he went by No Malice.
Right, yeah, he gave himself to the Lord, and then he was No Malice, and so now they're back.
Now he gave himself to the Dope Game, and we're back.
A lot of this, I mean, he did sound like Malice. There was a lot of Malice on this. There's a great tweet about how they're named opposite.
He's on Jesus is King. You sure about that?
Yeah,
it says featuring clips.
Right, it is featuring clips. You're right. Yeah. Oh well. So yeah, they got back together at that point, I think, for the first time in however long, and then it kind of set this up. And then obviously, I think this probably got delayed because of Kanye at some point. We don't have to go into that because he doesn't really matter on the album. But I do think that probably held this up because then, how long was Jesus is King? How long ago was that?
Jesus Christ.
I want to say 2018, 2019? No, 2021 maybe?
2019.
Yeah, so
2019, yeah.
I think this probably started there again somehow, and then just took a while, and then I think the falling out between the two of them, falling out between the two of them, the schizophrenic black hole that Kanye has gone into over the past 5 years, especially, I think, have led to this. But it ended up being really nice. Have Pharrell back and leading the charge since the early days.
Not Neptunes, just Pharrell, which is
the Neptunes are dead. The Neptunes are dead. And Pharrell killed it.
Pharrell's own beef. Pharrell's beef, Push's beef. Drake is involved in this. Kendrick Lamar is obviously back in the part of this as well.
And Tyler's cashing a check on it.
I think Tyler had a very interesting thing to say in one part of that, but that song was just a weird one.
I don't know who he's referencing.
Playboi Carti.
I know that was the rumor, but
Playboi Carti is his idol?
That. There was
not his idol. The one who's suing him.
There's a rumor that Playboi Carti is suing him, but there's no confirmation. And the only people who, from what I've seen, the only people who said it aren't trustworthy sources on it. But
I don't know. The
idol thing.
It's the only name we've gotten out. So
felt like
I don't have no idea.
Yeah, the idol thing just felt like an easy one because there's a lot of them. No, well, it's like Kanye's gone crazy. Sorry, Diddy's a fucking super criminal. Like what's a great producer of hip? Dr. Dre's a woman beater. Like they're all got a pretty nasty record for all the legends. Like, it's not. I think Tyler's definitely molded himself after a lot of the beat maker rapper combo guys.
Yeah, and then you look at like his idol Pharrell, you're like, all right.
Yeah, Pharrell's kind of the last one, but he's a
scumbag when it comes to money. I mean, you can ask Kellis, and now you can ask.
He's an old school business prick. Like as off the court, it seems to be a decent enough person, I guess, but in the business, he's a dickhead.
So what you're saying is Tyler is the Wood Harris or Avon Barksdale.
I mean, at this point,
Pharrell's doing his Stringer Bell stuff over here.
I don't even think it's that serious, although that obviously The Wire was referenced at least 6 more times in this album.
Thinking of the line where Avon's like, I ain't a businessman like you. I'm just a gangster, I suppose.
I mean, to some extent, yeah, I guess.
And also,
I think that Pharrell is just a little...
Tyler's openly told everyone he knows he looks like Wood Harris and would tell people he was Wood Harris.
That's true. That's just because it's funny. Because he's also a celebrity that for a long time was like not uber famous, but pretty famous, especially with younger kids.
I mean, yeah, internet famous, absolutely.
And then now he's a pretty just super famous person.
I would not have picked him to have matured the way he did, both lyrically, production, musically, like overall in general. I thought
when you hear his musical influences, I'm like, okay, this progression in his career makes more sense then
just the I think the execution's really high from where I would have thought it would be.
Just kept working at it. The song he's on, though, if you don't like it, I still think is great Coke rap lore. I think that both Malice and Pusha T add a lot to the Coke rap lore, which is, again, kind of what the Clips album is. It's like, this is basically, we've seen this a lot too. There's a song with Stove God Cooks, FICO.
I like Stove God Cooks.
That's really like, I like to call it like the movie Heat, you know, like how it's just this really fun thriller and you're on the bad guy's side the whole time. Doesn't matter, right? That's kind of what I feel. Or like, I think actually the movie that started all of this, Scarface, right?
Which I think nowadays I think more people have come around to. It's maybe not as great, but definitely was the prototype for this kind of
it's an influential storytelling tool. And so I think the Clips are huge pioneers in Coke rap. I think that's like, and again, I don't think if this is an introduction to anyone who doesn't understand what this kind of genre of hip hop is, it's just very simply like storytelling through Coke. You have Rick Ross, who's kind of been known for not doing it. You have Jay-Z, who famously did it fairly in detail for the first couple albums, and then went very mainstream. And then there's some reflection and stuff there. But nowadays, there's like the Griselda gang, who basically it's just a bunch of guys kind of Coke rapping, and it just sounds like it honestly sounds like what if Tony Soprano and fucking like what's his name in Scarface again? Tony Montana. If all of those guys just could rap really well, you know what I mean? Al Capone can just rap really well. That's basically what the genre is.
I really appreciated the first two tracks. I don't think mentioned cocaine at all, and the first one obviously is very emotional. It's the one they went and did on whatever late night show they were on about Clips about Push's mom and Malice's dad.
So they're brothers, and so they're parents.
They're actually brothers.
They're actually brothers. Malice is the older brother. Yeah.
Okay,
Terrence and.
When I was sitting there and I was like, man, they sound so similar.
They look very similar.
I guess I've never seen them.
Tiny Desk was amazing. That was the only way I'd heard it is I watched Tiny Desk when it dropped. And I just wanted to get to the end where they did grinding on the table, and of course they did. Because like if you were in high school, like even my buttfuck ass school, kids, because grinding was on every video game too, right? Like, grinding, what to keep in the line, and I can't really go to the next bar for reasons, but
I don't think I've ever heard it, if I'm being honest.
So yeah, but grinding you could just do on the. I don't want to fuck it up on the table. But yeah, so grinding is a very familiar beat. Pharrell would have produced that.
Yeah,
and then it would have still been a big part of video game lore. So like if you were in high school and that dropped, it would have been a big deal. But then it was a big part of like the first wave of like sports video games too. So then I think a bunch of the generation after that also kind of picked up the Clips and Pharrell that way.
But yeah, I did think that first song is really, really cool. But I will say, and I guess the question, this might be a little chicken and egg, because you listen to that first track and it's like, okay, this could easily be a track that Kanye West made. So does Pusha, I mean, obviously Pharrell's producing, but it seems Pusha and Kanye have some very similar vibes of what they're going for just in their music in general.
Yeah, that's why I said I think it wouldn't be surprising if Kanye initially was the executive producer and maybe this isn't his production.
That one sounds like something he wrote or like put together.
So I thought the first two songs, the first one sounded like a continuation of Daytona, and I thought the second one sounded like a Pharrell and Pusha picking up from when they were back in My Name Is My Name. And I don't know if that's intentional or not. I think the reason that Birds Don't Sing starts this thing is because it's so much different than what you have.
Yeah, and it's a good, like I said, it's a good one for them. They went and did it on some late night show. That one could break through because it's got a better message than Cocaine. I'm
actually already seeing some interesting things about it. It's one of the sadder hip hop songs you'll ever hear for sure. I would say Ason Jones by Raekwon is pretty sad whenever Old Dirty Bastard died. Can't Stop This by The Roots for Jay Dilla.
P. Diddy Missing You.
P. Diddy Missing You has lost a little bit of the punch over the time. And it was actually before this too, because, we've recently also learned that he may not have gotten Biggie killed in all of his rambunctiousness, either by choice or by
the money.
Yeah. So, it's I'm sure there's, whatever songs you want to decipher from 808s and Heartbreaks that are about the girl or about the mom. that's kind of hard to tell nowadays. That album was kind of a mixed bag, where it was like sad because his mother died, but sounds mostly like it's about relationships. So I don't know if there's one that's necessarily to that level. Probably some other good ones I'm missing.
There's all the manic schizophrenia, it's all coming together.
That's when it starts for sure, unfortunately. But yeah, Birds Don't Sing was a really good one to start with, because obviously the rest of the album sort of just gets to play out the way it should at that point.
I thought it was fine. I'm not here to bash it in any way, but for me, what I'm going to go back and listen to is mostly like those last 3 or 4 songs. Once Inglourious Bastards hits and the rest, I thought it really took a step forward. And it's awesome. The rest of it, maybe it's just because it's like these guys are so known and I'm not surprised by what they're doing, you know?
No, I hear you. I will say one last thing on the Kanye thing, just because it would crack me up. Ace Trumpets, Pusha T says the famous now meme, yellow diamonds look like pee-pee. And I just want to say, maybe Push also did ghostwrite some of the cringier Kanye-isms from earlier albums. We usually thought that was Kanye.
But here's the thing, though.
I thought those were always Kanye. You could always trust it. Oh, no, Kanye definitely did that one. Now I'm starting to look at Push and be like, oh, maybe Push is capable of some of these.
He's like,
but here's the thing.
I'm not going to.
I don't think there's anybody else in the rap game who could say that line, and you're like, yeah, it's a line, but if anybody's gonna get away with it, it's you.
Maybe Tyler, just because
I don't think so.
Because Tyler also is a funny rap guy.
So how did we feel about?
But Tyler's more way more cartoonishly outlandish than Diamonds Look Like Pee-pee.
Diamonds Look Like Pee-pee is pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm glad everyone's having fun with it. What about the Bezos of the nasals?
There are some good.
That's incredible bar. That's an incredible bar.
Cocainisms in there.
That's an incredible bar.
It's not to say that Malice really does kill this entire thing too. So that's kind of the fun part.
You know what it felt like hearing Malice on this? It felt like, you had that 6th man on the bench that's just been waiting to get in the game, comes in, scores 20 points, changes the flow of everything. You're like, God damn, you forgot how good this guy is.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree.
I guess my last question for you on this, Beth Key, since Nas is your guy, is how you felt about the Nas feature.
I love it. It's very old head Nas, but that's why I love Nas's trajectory, because he's just like, at this point he could make up a bunch of bullshit. Instead, he's just like, you have to keep up chronologically with Nas to actually know what he's talking about now, because he's just like, he's literally like talking about how he got Grammy nominated again as like a 50-year-old or whatever. For whatever the last trio of albums, I forgot which one, ended up doing really well. And so he's just basically talking about how he basically is just doing victory laps. Like, he's just absolutely just doing victory laps at this point. He's just reminding that even Jay-Z, that it's like, Jay-Z may be the court of public opinion, but if you're like following the canon, Nas is still sort of just undisputed the GOAT at this point. Like, even Rakim would say that. Rakim gets shouted out by Kendrick early.
He's the chief of staff instead of the president.
Yeah, at this point, I think if you're like a rapper's rapper, everybody knows it's just Nas. So yeah, I would say it's very funny, but it does feel like Zeus rapping about about the world, where it's like kind of just like not relatable at all anymore to an extent, but it's not necessarily about just rich dude stuff. There was a bit of that. I believe there was some Bentleys and stuff getting thrown around, but ultimately I just thought it was that. By the Grace of God, the final song sounds exactly like No Malice album. So if you ever wanted to try a No Malice album, that's pretty much what all of them sounded like. I mean, it's Pharrell, so there's a little bit more on it. So far ahead,
the Pharrell singing stuff on this one. Usually I'm a big fan, but on this album I felt like
it can be back and forth.
In that on the first track, I think that's him singing, right? That's one where I'm like,
no. John Legend is also John Legend's a part of that, but there was also like a backing group feature. John Legend.
It felt like Kanye would have found a better voice for it. Not that it's a bad voice, but to fit the song.
Probably also would have been just John Legend.
Let me make sure I'm looking at the right song here.
There was also a gospel song towards the end, So Far Ahead, that I thought was pretty good. I think it had Pusha T's best line of the whole album. If I was Brittany Griner, I'm gonna need Obama. Only one to swap is Chapo. I don't say that as much as well as it sounded live, but I was respecting that because everyone got mad that Brittany Griner got traded for the Merchant of Death. So for Pusha T to basically, this is also a Trump diss.
Oh, no, it's the
Trump subtweet here because you got said if I was Brittany Griner, I'm gonna need Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Only one to swap is Chapo. It rhymes better when he did it, but
yeah, Chapo.
But he did. But it was a little subtweet. It was, it was fun.
It's
nice.
the Pharrell part on Chains and Whips that I don't like.
Yeah, Chains and Whips is a very Pharrell song.
It didn't feel like what he was singing fit with what was happening in the rest of the song, and it took me out of it. The Kendrick feature is good. It's just standard Kendrick at this point, right?
And that's exactly what Kendrick is. Just Nas 20 years ago right now. This is just what they really are on the same trajectory in a lot of ways, in a funny way. He's just the West Coast Nas, I guess, at this point. So it's more important for him to have California in the West than it is just to be rap god.
This is Past the Rest.